what the heck? That's weird. That's weird. That was just strange and bizarre and has never happened to me at a show before. So what I ended up doing was treating this event like a networking event, just getting the word out about who I am and what I do. Good morning. It is 6:30 a.m. and I am up this early on a Saturday for one reason and one reason only. It's Pasadena Comic Con. We are all set up here at, where are we? Pasadena Comic Con. And first impressions is that there are a lot of artists that are not here. A lot of empty booths, like a couple of my neighbors behind me. That is never good. That is always a little bit concerning, but the vibe in the room that I'm at, it's kind of giving Frankensons, if you're familiar with that. It's in, I think, the City of Industry. It's like a big collector's warehouse where they rent out booth spaces essentially, and people set up their own stuff. So it's giving kind of that vibe on this side. If you go over there, there's doors that go into another room, and that leads into the Artist Alley. Artist Alley tables were unfortunately all sold out by the time I registered for this show. I don't know if I missed the deadline for that or if they just sold out really, really fast. Either way, I'm in this exhibit hall. There is a line outside, so that's a good sign, but they're also utilizing their lobby space, so there's like artists set up out there too. I really don't know if that's going to work in my benefit or against me in terms of having people walk this side of the exhibitor hall. So we'll see. I've never done this show. I've never attended this show, so I don't know what to expect. So I'm just here for the ride, and hopefully we walk away with profit today and a little less inventory. We're at booth 322 in this exhibitor hall area, and we're actually right near where all the autograph signings are happening. The whole area next to us is all just like celebrities for autographs. It's a combination of voice talent as well as on-screen talent, and the guy next to me, I don't know if you're as old as I am, but the guy next to me is the younger son from Growing Pains. I grew up watching that show, so it's kind of bizarre that he's just right here next to me. I'm on the lookout for Tom Kenny. I want him to sign my Eduardo toy that I brought. It's from Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, which is one of my favorite shows, so I was very excited when I found out that he's going to be here. And before you jump down my throat, yes, I do know that he is also the voice of SpongeBob, but Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends is one of my favorite shows of all time, as well as Powerpuff Girls, and he is also the voice of the mayor from Powerpuff Girls, so I'm really excited to meet him. Hopefully his prices are reasonable, that I can actually meet him and get him to sign my toy. There's a line, so that's a good sign. I was worried because I was like, oh, it's VIP hour, it's 9:30, the show opens at 10 for everyone. So I was like, I don't really see a lot of people. But I came outside and checked out the line, and there's a good long line. Okay, I'm gonna head back in and we'll start the day. This is the exhibitor hall, and as you can see, it is packed with exhibitors. Everyone is selling things from original art to collectibles to comics. It's a little bit of everything. And I am walking back to the booth now. We'll stop by my friend Dennis's booth real quick on the way back. Here it is. Here's his booth. So cute. So there was a table right here, but my neighbor made themselves a little corner spot and combined the table that was here to make theirs a corner booth. I don't know if that's going to work in our favor or against us, but so far people have been like pulling over and trying to like navigate while standing there, or just like using that as like a direct walkway to get to the other side. It's not the best, but the show's technically not fully opened yet, so we'll see how that goes for the rest of the day. I was just reminded that there's a huge Power Rangers reunion at this show. I completely forgot about that, so I'm sure that line that we saw earlier, most of that is for Power Rangers. I hope people walk the show floor and support the small artists that are here as well, in addition to the voice talent and the actors that are here. So far, I have been seeing a lot of people gravitate towards the voice actors and the talent. And I hope that they have some money left over to share with the rest of us. Listen, I just had the weirdest interaction with a customer. They came up to the booth and they were in cosplay. I think they were maybe a character from, what is that alien show called? Mulder, Scully, X-Files. I don't know. I didn't really watch X-Files, so I'm assuming that they were a character from that. Anyways, they were doing their little spiel in cosplay, in full costume. I was interacting with them because I like to do that with people that are in cosplay. Even if I don't know who they are, I will interact with them in theme. They then decided that they were tired and came around my booth and sat down in that chair. This is behind my booth. I don't allow people behind my booth, and they just took it upon themselves to be like, I'm tired, I'm gonna have a seat. And my husband isn't back here, so it's just me. And usually, you know, if we're both back here, people obviously know, like, this is the workspace, don't come back there. But I guess it looked inviting enough because I was by myself and I interacted with them. So they thought that was like, yeah, I can come and hang out with you now. And I was taken so aback by it that I was just like, I don't know how to respond to this. So I let them sit here and look at their phone for like 10 minutes. And then I was just like, hi, I'm going to have to kick you out. I'm so sorry. But like, what the heck? That's weird. That's weird. Don't do that. Don't put me in a position that I have to tell you not to be behind my booth. Like, I don't want to be mean, but like also, really? Anyways, I had to share that with you because that was just strange and bizarre and has never happened to me at a show before. It is 10:48 and I finally made a sale. I finally made a sale!
Yay!
Yay!
I don't know why I'm waving.
Okay, I don't know if you can see it, but there's Jeremy Miller through his Linus blankets that he's selling here. I actually had time to paint my nails. I never have time to paint my nails, and I have to keep them short because of all the sculpting that I do. But I decided to give them a little zhuzh for the show today. I don't think it matters because, oh my gosh, the show is so slow right now, so nobody's gonna see my nails. Come and see my nails. I'm gonna take a lunch break because it's slow and I'm hungry. I made sandwiches at home. This one is chicken with cucumbers. You know what I totally forgot to mention? My neighbor, Jeremy Miller. He's the voice of Linus among being Ben Seaver on Growing Pains. But his neighbor, Brad Keston, is the voice of Charlie Brown from the original cartoons. I learned this years ago from a friend of mine during the convention season. You don't want to get your fingers dirty, but you want to eat your chips, use chopsticks. I have the perfect view right now of Kel Mitchell, who plays Ed from Good Burger. If you're a 90s kid, this was like peak humor. You can see him and he's in his Good Burger uniform. I'm gonna see if I can get like a video of him when I walk around a little bit later. I don't know what it is about this convention crowd specifically. They have no sense of direction. They keep trying to come in and walk through the booths. I think it's because we don't have any draping behind us. Usually when I'm at a convention, there's always a little bit of draping, even if it's not the one that separates you from your neighbor from side to side, at least like the ones from back to back. But people are just like going every which way. It's a little after 12:20 and we have officially made back our booth fee, which I'm really happy about. To be honest, I didn't know if we were even going to make that back, even though this was a very affordable convention. The way that the crowd was not showing up for like a good while made me a little nervous. Good news, everyone. I sold a painting with a stand. Yay! It is one of my higher priced items, so I get so happy when they sell. And I love it when people appreciate my art and buy the actual like hand-painted, handmade items that I offer, in addition to my manufactured items that have my artwork on them. But as an artist, like, you kind of put your heart and soul into everything you do, but especially the handmade items. And when somebody comes around and can appreciate your handmade items, it just, it makes me as an artist very, very happy to see my work going to someone that appreciates them. So, yay! Hi! You saw the sign and it called you. There you go, thank you. I'm gonna go walk around the exhibitor hall to see what I find, so come along with me. pricing?
The pricing, yeah, here you go. So autographs are 80. If you just want a selfie, it's also 80. We do have the autograph selfie combo for 120.
Okay.
And then we also have some other items available to purchase that have their own little exclusive deals. So like these figures right here, they're all 125. They get a signature photo and a quote.
Okay.
We also have this music sheet poster, which is for 100. You get a signature photo.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So a child just came by and thought my paintings were scented and sniffed one of them. That's a first. So I feel like the majority of the independent artists are in Artist Alley. Everyone else around here is resellers, toy sellers, collectible sellers. Power Rangers. She wore blue. I wish I had a blue version of this. Oh, someone just called me Dorothy Gale because I'm in a gingham dress. It is 4:39. The show is over at 5, and people here are already ready to go home. They're already starting to pack up and leave. I don't think there's too many shoppers left. There was a Power Ranger panel that happened at 4 p.m. I'm not sure if it's still going on, but you can feel how empty the show floor is now. So I'm going to start stealthily packing up as much as I can. Canada's already doing the first run of stuff to the car so we can have less stuff to take at the end of the night. But yeah, all in all, this was an okay show. I'll get into all the details when I get home and do my little breakdown, so stay tuned for that. I just had my dinner, and of course I ate too much because I was starving. I had some sushi, and I'm ready to talk about Pasadena Comic Con. Would I do Pasadena Comic Con again? Maybe, but probably not. How was the show? It wasn't a terrible show. It wasn't a fantastic show. It was just something kind of in the middle. I honestly didn't know if I was going to even make my booth back, but luckily the sales picked up. I don't think I sold any cakes today, which was a bummer. I don't think anyone really wanted to buy them, but they appreciated the artistry and the creativity that goes behind making all of these little cakes, and they appreciated the detail. They just didn't go home with one, which happens. The thing that surprised me the most about Pasadena Comic Con today was the fact that my paintings, my highest priced item of all the things that I offer, were the ones that were moving first. What? That is the best compliment you can give to an artist, is seeing something that they created with their own hands and said, yeah, you know what? That's great. I'm going to take that home. What? I can't even put into words how that makes me feel. I really appreciate it. So if you like my paintings, I'm going to start bringing them more to shows. So what I ended up doing was treating this event like a networking event, just getting the word out about who I am and what I do, passed out business cards and talked about what I did with anyone that stopped by my booth. I don't know if it's because it was a holiday weekend, maybe they were out of town, or maybe they just weren't interested in this show, but I hardly recognized anybody that stopped by my booth. There were maybe like 1 or 2 people that have bought from me in the past that stopped by, but for the most part, I did not recognize anyone that came by by. Unless you were a celebrity, voice actor, personality of some sort, you were sort of feeling the lack of attendance, because when I walked around, there was a lot of people just sort of hanging around. It was my first time attending Pasadena Comic Con as a vendor and just attending in general. I have never been to this show before. I'd never heard of this show before, so I didn't know what to expect going into it, but it does seem like a very niche community. It seems like the folks that attend this show were there to meet the celebrities, to get the autographs, to get the photos, and there were some collectors there that were looking for very specific things. Like I saw a lot of people with SpongeBob toys because Tom Kenny was there and he was doing autographs and photos, so a lot of folks were there to see him. I actually took my Eduardo toy to get him to sign it. Unfortunately, I couldn't justify spending $80 to get him to sign my toy. Maybe I can save up for it for the next event. Hopefully he'll be back at LA Comic Con like he was last year and I can get him to sign my Eduardo toy then. I grew up watching shows like Leave It to Beaver, Growing Pains, Family Ties, I Love Lucy. I did walk by the autograph area just to see who was there, and there were so many people from my childhood that were there. Not only Tom Kenny, who obviously voiced some of my favorite cartoon characters from the modern era, but Jerry Mathers was there, and I don't know if you watched Leave It to Beaver. He played the Beav. He was so adorable. He looks exactly the same, just like an older version of himself. I went up to him and I told him, I basically grew up on your shows. I did also get a chance to chat with the voice of Charlie Brown as well as Linus because they were my booth neighbors, so I did go over and talk to them for a little bit and they were both so sweet. One of my favorite films of all time is Donnie Darko, and if you have seen Donnie Darko, you know the whole film has this ominous bunny throughout the entire film. His name is Frank, and the guy who played Frank was there, and I went up to him and I did tell him that Donnie Darko is one of my absolute favorite movies, and I did name my friend Frank the Bunny, as well as one of my plushies that is a bunny, so they are both called Frank the Bunny after Frank the Bunny from Donnie Darko. One last thing, I also saw the source of all of our childhood trauma, Atreyu from The Neverending Story, next to Frank, actually. I didn't get a chance to chat with him because he was talking to somebody and I didn't want to make it weird, so I just saw him and I walked away, and I probably would have told him, like, thank you for my childhood trauma. If you're unfamiliar with the Pasadena Convention Center, when you walk in, there's the big exhibit hall, but next to that, there's a smaller exhibit hall that is super dark. I don't know why there's such a drastic lighting change, but that's where Artist Alley was. They were basically in the dark. If you've ever been to the convention center for Designer Con, you'll be familiar with this layout. It's basically the same for Designer Con, where they have the one room where it's super dark and then the next bigger room which is super well lit. When I walked through a few times on my way to the restroom, I did not see a ton of people in the Artist Alley room. I don't know if it's because they just didn't label it well, or maybe people didn't know, or it was just super dark and people assumed that nobody was in there. I don't know, but the few times that I walked through Artist Alley, it didn't look crazy busy. I feel like the majority of people spent their time on the exhibitor floor, but they also utilized the lobby area. It was just a weird hodgepodge of people everywhere. So like the registration area was out in front of the exhibitor hall, so people that didn't have tickets, I'm assuming, would go over to the registration area. Then they had tables that were near that area outside of the exhibitor hall. These were artists as well as talent that was there too, and it was just a very confusing layout as an exhibitor. Like, I didn't really know what was happening. And then there was another lobby area that was closer to Artist Alley that had more artists. It was sort of like an overspill of artists, but I didn't really see that area be utilized by customers. Like the few times that I walked by, it was just the artists and not a lot of customers. It was weird. Like, the direction of where the people were going were sort of all over the place, and then they also had an area for panels. But again, like people were just kind of everywhere and doing their own thing, and I don't think there was really a rhyme or reason for the layout. So maybe if they sort of reel that in a little bit, it could work better for the advantage of the artists as well as the exhibitors. I don't know. I'm not a planning expert, but I have done my fair share of conventions, and if the traffic doesn't make sense, the sales are not going to come in. I'm happy that we made our money for the booth back, we walked away with a profit, and I met some really nice people. So while Pasadena Comic Con may not be a permanent fixture on my yearly roster, I am glad that I gave it a chance. I'm glad that we walked away in the green, and I'm happy that I was able to talk to some of my childhood favorites and make a couple of new friends at the end of the day. My next event is Toontown Market, June 14th from noon to 4 p.m. out in Fullerton. It is the last in-person event I have before San Diego Comic Con at the end of July. I'm basically, after Toontown Market, just going to keep my head down, go into my creative cave, and just keep working for all of my Comic Con prep. There is so much to do for that show, but come visit me at Toontown Market. I will have my booth location available on my Instagram once I have it, so make sure to like and subscribe to all the things, my Instagram, my YouTube, my TikTok. So make sure you are following me on Instagram at Unicorn Crafts. That is where I post all of my up-to-date information as well as new product info. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel, and in the comments let me know, did you grow up on classic television? And if you did, what was your favorite show? I'll see you next time. Bye!